The Vikings. Raiding, trading, and spreading their influence, Vikings were Norse people from around the 8th century who traded from their northern European homelands across wide areas of Europe and explored westwards towards Iceland, Greenland, and Vinland, crossing the Atlantic without the aid of a compass or triangular sails. Well, the Viking Age may have ended around a millennium ago, but the Vikings continue to capture our imagination even to this day. Hello and namaste, and welcome to our channel Itihas, where we talk about people of the past and interesting historical events. Do subscribe to our channel to join us in this journey as we unravel the pages of history. Today we have 10 things about Vikings that are really fascinating, so stay tuned. In number 1 we have the Vikings did not wear helmets having horns. The iconic horned helmet that we know from popular culture was actually a fictional creation dreamt by the costume designer Carl Emil Doppler. In fact, the Vikings may not have worn any helmets at all. In number 2 we have the Vikings essentially invented rap battling during the 9th century. Flighting or flitting is a contest consisting of the exchange of insults between two parties, often conducted in verses, and this was prominently practiced among the Vikings. In number 3 we have the onion soup diagnosis. Wounded Viking warriors were given strong onion soups, and after a few minutes someone would smell the wounds, and if onions could be detected, it meant that there were serious abdominal injuries and that death was inevitable. In number 4 we have Vikings were grouped into socio-economic classes. Viking society was divided into 3 socio-economic classes. Thralls were the lowest ranking class and were slaves and comprised as much as a quarter of the population. Carls were free peasants. They owned farms, land, and cattle and engaged in daily chores like plowing the fields, milking the cattle, etc. The Jarls were aristocrats of the Viking society. They were wealthy and owned large estates with huge longhouses, horses, and many thralls. In number 5 we have Vikings were very active in slave trade. Slavery was of vital importance to Viking society for everyday chores and large-scale construction, and also to trade and economy. When a Jarl of highest rank died and was buried, his household thralls, lowest ranked ones, were sometimes sacrificially killed and buried next to him, as many excavations have revealed. In number 6 we have the Viking society had good status for women. Women had relatively free status in Viking society, and after the age of 20, an unmarried woman reached legal majority and had the right to decide her place of residence and was regarded as her own person before the law. She would have an independent status as an unmarried woman. And as for married women, they could divorce their husband and remarry. In number 7 we have the Vikings' marriages were not very strict. There was no distinction made between children born inside or outside marriages. Both had the right to inherit property after their parents, and there were no illegitimate or legitimate children. In number 8 we have the Vikings were called by different names with different meanings. In the Old Norse language, the name Viking means a pirate raid. The Vikings were known as Askomani, which means ashmen by the Germans, for the ash wood of their boats. They were called Dubgale and Fingale, which means dark or fair foreigners by the Irish, and the Gaels called them Lochlannic, meaning lake person. In number 9 we have a sword was the most prized Viking possession. The craftsmanship involved in making the Viking sword meant that they were extremely expensive and therefore likely to be most valuable item that the Viking owned, if that is they could afford one at all. In reality, most couldn't. In number 10 we have the last great Viking king was killed at the Battle of Stamford Bridge. Harold Hardrada had come to England to challenge the then king Harold Godwinson for the English throne, but he was defeated and killed by Harold's men at the Battle of Stamford Bridge, and his death marked the end of the Viking Age. Well, that is all for 10 things about Vikings, and do mention in the comments about which fact you found the most interesting. Thank you and have a great day.